All right. It is 6 p.m. on Monday, September 15th. So I am going to call to order this meeting of the Winooski City Council. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Deputy Mayor Thomas Renner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Agenda review. Any concerns about our work this evening?
Do you all know if you want the executive yet?
I think so, yeah. Okay. Next up is public comment. If anyone is here for a comment on an item not related to tonight's agenda, now would be the time. If you're here for something on the agenda, we invite public comment for every item. So if you are, you could come right up. And if you're on Zoom, you can use the chat or raise hand feature. Okay. Seeing no comment, we'll move to our consent agenda. We have our City Council and Liquor Control Board minutes from September 2nd, the payroll warrant for August 17 to 20, the accounts payable warrant for September 10, and a appointment to our Finance Commission. Any concerns about the consent agenda? No. Do I have a motion to approve?
I saw them reaching for their microphone.
Kristine, I'm assuming you know whether the Finance Commission applicant is here.
Oh, is that Brittany? No, she's not. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right,
Yeah, no, she's not here. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thomas, second by Charlie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Council reports. Charlie, can we start with you?
I have no updates.
All right, Thomas.
I was out of the country, so you attended my Safe, Healthy, Connected People meeting.
All right. Well, let me start there. So Safe, Healthy, Connected People met last week to discuss two different topics. One was the potential to allow horse-drawn carriage rides in the city. This has been requested by a local business owner. The commission weighed in on the possibility of creating a special permitting process that would allow this while giving the city strong control to regulate things like waste removal and trail impact. It was a really early stage discussion, so it's something that staff will likely bring back to the commission to consider whether or not it's worth advancing to council eventually. The second item was a survey to gauge resident interest in new recreational programs, timing preferences, and current barriers to access, which would be coupled with data from Civic Rec, the registration system, on the performance of current offerings to consider programming adjustments or new partnerships to explore in the future. Planning Commission also met last week to review some areas of the land use regulations that need some clarity and cleanup. So specifically, there's some language around plan unit developments and subdivision review, which the Development Review Board has flagged as not being clear enough for them to implement. And additionally, potential changes to the commercial district next to downtown, which would allow historic homes to be retained in the district. Currently, like a single family home is not an allowed use, but there are some there. And the potential expansion of the unlimited density that's currently allowed along Main Street in the downtown to go 2 blocks further on West Ave. So it was a preliminary discussion introduction, and I believe we'll be coming back to their next meeting.
Sounds like a good meeting.
That is it for me, and tonight's my last night. My last meeting to run. There's that. More on that later. Councilor Oakley.
Sure. Infrastructure Commission meeting is moved to September 25th. It will be in the pool room, our usual location and our usual time at 6:30. We anticipate having an update from Drive Electric Vermont and the Winooski zoning administrator on electric vehicle charger placement and infrastructure in the city. So we look forward to having that conversation towards the end of next week. Chittenden Solid Waste District will have their regular full board meeting on September 24th. All the details and agenda for that will be posted later this week. So folks are welcome to attend in person or online as they wish. And I want to extend a very heartfelt thank you to Downtown Winooski, all the performers, vendors, and attendees for the annual Pride event held this past Saturday. It was a really awesome event. The weather was fantastic, and it was great to see so many people out celebrating Pride in Winooski.
Yeah,
Councilor Kern.
I can start by seconding that. It was a really wonderful time on Saturday. My only other update is a reminder that the Inclusion and Belonging Commission is having a special meeting. Usually we only meet on even months, but we'll be meeting on Wednesday, September 24th at 6 p.m. This meeting will be on Zoom, though Jenny always offers a hybrid option at City Hall if needed. Some of the items on the agenda include an overview of the language access plan, beginning to really finalize a work plan for the commission, as well as checking in on certain things such as the role of chair, and discussing other possible updates.
Thank you. City updates are next. Elaine.
Yep, Armory update. So the Development Review Board will meet at Winooski City Hall and online on Thursday, September 18th at 6:30 p.m. to review the sketch plans for the proposed development at 255 Fountain Street, what was formerly the National Guard Armory Building. The Champlain Housing Trust is proposing a 2-phase development at that location to create permanently affordable housing for families, including 24 rental apartments in 4 3-story buildings, centered around a green space and parking area, with a mix of 3 and 4 bedroom units designed for large families. To view the meeting materials and how to attend, you can visit the news update section at our website at winooskibt.org. .gov. A special blood drive in support of Sickle Cell Awareness Month is happening at the Winooski Senior Center this Friday, September 19th, from 12 to 5 p.m. To schedule your life-saving appointment, visit redcrossblood.org/give or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. And if you're interested in applying to serve as Winooski City Councilor, well, there's going to be a vacancy here shortly. Deputy Mayor Thomas Renner will act as interim mayor until the town meeting day election, which is March 3rd, 2026. This leaves an open city councilor seat. We're looking for a resident to serve the remainder of the current term, ending March 3rd, 2026. The deadline to apply is this Friday, September 19th. Bring your fresh perspective to the policy decision-making table for Winooski. To learn more and to apply, visit the news update section on our website at winooskibt.gov.
Thank you. All right, moving into our regular items. First up for discussion approval is a resolution recognizing Mayor Kristine Lott for her contributions to Winooski. Thank you. Thomas, you're introducing.
Yeah, this is well, I don't know how you're feeling today, but it's kind of a bittersweet moment for sure. City staff, Elaine and Paul, were able to draft what I thought was a beautiful resolution. I know we don't always read through all of these things when we're looking at the draft, but if you will allow me, I think it is appropriate to do so. So, here's the draft. Whereas Mayor Kristine Lott began her service to the city of Winooski as a member of the Winooski Housing Commission, demonstrating early dedication to equitable housing solutions and civic engagement, and whereas in 2019 she became the first woman to be elected as mayor of Winooski, marking an important historic milestone for the community, and whereas throughout her tenure, Mayor Lott attended well over 100 city council, board, commission, and committee meetings, consistently providing thoughtful leadership and a commitment to the public process. And whereas she actively participated in countless community events that have helped define and celebrate Winooski's vibrant culture, including Green Up Day, Halloween in Winooski, French Heritage Day, Waking Windows, Winooski's Centennial Celebration, and many others. And whereas Mayor Lott played an integral role in major community initiatives, including the closure of the Tax Increment Financing District, the rebuilding of the Myers Memorial Pool, and the Main Street Revitalization Project, demonstrating her commitment to long-term, sustainable growth for Winooski. And whereas she consistently applied her expertise and leadership to advance the city's strategic vision, areas, and master plan, with a focus on housing, fiscal responsibility, equity, community engagement, and policy level improvements through planning and zoning. And whereas Mayor Lott has demonstrated a strong commitment to regional collaboration and advocacy through her active membership in the Mayor's Alliance, partnerships with neighboring municipalities, and her dedicated advocacy work with the Vermont legislature and federal delegations to support policies and funding that benefit Winooski and the broader region. And whereas Mayor Lott's dedication and vision have left a lasting impact on the city and its residents, and her leadership has guided Winooski through significant change and progress. And now, therefore, be it resolved that we momentously celebrate her impressive service to the residents and visitors of Winooski on her last day as mayor, and be it further resolved that we extend the admiration and gratitude of the entire community as she embarks on a new journey to start a family and pursue a new career.
It's very nice. Thank you so much. I don't know. I've been sitting here for 7 years at this table, and we've done a lot of really good work together. This group, folks that precede this group, staff has been so wonderful to work with, and really just our community, like our residents and our broader community, are so committed and wonderful to be a part of. I am, as the cliche goes, it's been an honor to serve, and I'm gonna miss it to some degree. Thank you very much for the recognition.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second. Do we have some public comment?
Please
Join
come to
us at the
table.
microphone.
I just wanted to add a few notes of appreciation to Mayor Lott. The resolution captures a lot of her work very well, but I just had two pieces I wanted to add. One is her work on housing, in particular the Armory project that you just spoke about. After families were being evicted on Main Street a couple years ago, Mayor Lott convened a housing coalition or a roundtable that I think played a pretty big role in bringing a lot of folks to the table to brainstorm how do we address the housing crisis, and particularly impacting families. And so I want to thank you specifically for your leadership there that I think has resulted in some really tangible, hopefully, outcomes for this community. And the second is your leadership on finance reform. Advocacy, it took a lot of folks working on that issue, but I felt like you used your connections with the Mayor's Coalition and others to really lift up, not just from an education standpoint, but from a community and equity standpoint, the importance of addressing our outdated and inequitable funding system. So thank you and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Is there any more public comment? There doesn't have to be. Okay, I have a motion from Bryn and a second from Charlie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And thank you all. And Jenny, if you could ensure I get a signed copy. Well, that's a very nice way to start the meeting.
I don't know if you noticed, there's some staff in the room, there's staff online, and they just all want to be present for the resolution. So
Aw.
I wanted to point that out. So I know you'd
Even
appreciate
Jordan
that.
stayed.
And even Jordan stayed.
Well, thank you all. It really, working with staff has been such a pleasure. I've learned so much from all the members of this team and the folks sitting up here, and just all the partners we've worked with. It's been wonderful.
Thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you.
If I may say one thing. I really appreciated that you were here to help me transition in, because yeah, there's been a bridge that might not have been made if you weren't doing it. So thank you very much for your partnership.
Thanks, Elaine. It's been a pleasure. Okay, we'll move on to our item B. So we are continuing our public hearing for amendments to the Winooski Code Chapter 15 parking, the section on fines. I'm going to open the public hearing now. We'll take any public comment, but I think, Elaine, if you want to introduce some updates for tonight's meeting.
Sure. Can't quite imagine doing something more of a downer after a resolution like that. But at least we're reducing the fine, so it's one of them anyway.
Potentially.
Potentially, right, proposing. So staff recommended 2 changes to the City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15 on parking, to reduce the unpaid meter fine from $30 to $25, and to increase the overtime fine for 15-minute spots to match the unpaid meter fine amount. So regarding the first change, the unpaid meter fine, about a year ago, council adopted changes to the City Code of Ordinances in this chapter. Among these were increasing the fine for an unpaid meter to be higher than 12 hours of hourly parking, from $12 to $30. The purpose of this change was to incentivize people to pay their meter or move their vehicle. Code enforcement regularly had noted people parking for many hours without paying, preferring to risk paying the low fine rather than paying the meter. Whereas the point of paid parking is to incentivize turnover of parking spots and therefore patron access to parking in our busy downtown. Anecdotal feedback from downtown businesses and the city clerk's office were that there were many complaints received about this $30 amount of fine. As for hard data, the number of parking ticket appeals has increased by 88%, even though the average number of tickets issued by the city per day has decreased by almost 9%. The fine increase is having a beneficial impact in terms of its intention, however, in that the number of paid parking transactions has increased by almost 15%. Nonetheless, to reduce tension felt by downtown businesses from upset customers fined by the city for unpaid meters, staff recommend the amount of fine to be decreased slightly to $25. This amount would now be just higher than what it would cost for someone to park in a spot all day long, which would be $24. The other change is to increase the fine for parking overtime in 15-minute spots. This is so that there's not an incentive for people to risk an overtime ticket in a 15-minute spot, which is currently $20, rather than an unpaid meter spot. Currently, our system does not allow us to know in the field when a session has expired, only that the plate is in paid session or it is not. FYI, the way that city staff are able to track time in a 15-minute spot is a handheld ticketing device, which allows the code enforcement officer to virtually chalk a plate that's in a 15-minute spot. So there's nothing physical on the vehicle, but in the system it's showing as like they parked at this time, or it was observed in a spot at this time. Council last meeting also asked why staff had not proposed increases to other fine amounts. Staff practice is to not propose increases except to manage trends and problematic behavior. Code enforcement patrols citywide daily, so the citations should capture any trends that there are, not just in the downtown or not just that have been complained about. The staff parking team reviewed these citations that have been issued over the last 12 months. The violations with the most safety concerns had very few tickets. 0.2% for blocking sidewalks, which is an obvious safety concern, 0.1% for blocking a crosswalk, also a safety concern, and then 0.1% for parking in front of a fire hydrant, and 0.6% for parking in a fire lane. This is a percentage of the total number of tickets that were issued in the last 12 months. In comparison, 2.9% of all tickets issued were for parking overtime in a 15-minute space. That's it for my overview. If there are any questions from council.
Well, we're the public hearing phase first, so I'll start with if there are any questions from folks in attendance on these parking fines. And if you're on Zoom, you can use the chat or raise hand feature. If you're here, you can come up to the microphones. Okay. Council questions.
I appreciated the clarifying email that we sent to everyone, Elaine, so thank you for that.
I do still see a lot of parking on sidewalks outside of the downtown core, so hopefully that, there's some more enforcement that's catching that in the near future. Seems to be along regular routes for students and staff, employees going to and from the school, so it'd be nice to catch that.
Yeah, we can certainly see about stepping up enforcement if you let us know where you see that. Or anyone, of course, if anyone sees that, let us know.
Any other questions from council on this new information? Well, seeing no public comment, I'm going to officially close the public hearing. And so we'll move on to item C, which is the discussion or approval item for these amendments. I feel like I'm not hearing concerns, and maybe someone wants to make a motion to to adopt these amendments to Code Chapter 15 on parking.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Aurora, second by Charlie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're on item D now. Introduction to update ordinance for Chapter 29 trees. John Rocher, please join us.
Thanks. So this one's been on the to-do list for a little bit. So back in 2019, the city passed or actually created the tree ordinance that we currently have. In 2020, the state, of course, a year later went through and updated the tree law that's in state statute. So around that time, the ad hoc tree committee that worked with former councilor Jim Duncan did take a look at that, spent quite a bit of time looking at the state law changes in our ordinance, and provided some red line potential changes. And that was, I think, in the last round's priorities strategies task, but Main Street and other projects, we never quite got around to it. So luckily this year we had a really great IMB representative, Leo Beebe, who was our Infrastructure Commission liaison. And as part of a capstone project, he reached out to Jim Duncan, and he took this up and brought it forward and got the Infrastructure Commission involved. And we had a few meetings looking at the revised ordinance language, and based on feedback from the commission, they felt it was appropriate to move this forward. So tonight what we have in front of you is the revised potential ordinance language that kind of aligns our ordinance with the state ordinance for review. And this is on as an introduction. And what you'll see in the ordinance language is there's a lot of reference to shade trees. So the state law looks at sort of, urban trees as there are municipal shade trees that they're trying to protect more, regulate more, and that's typically done by an appointed tree warden. Currently, the city does not have an appointed tree warden. That falls on the public works director when we do not have one. But back to the ordinance, what you'll see is a more defined shade tree plan in the ordinance. So there's language in the ordinance that calls out basically like, based on the caliper size, it does qualify as a shade tree. So like street trees, I believe it's like 2.5 inch caliper, the diameter of the tree. And that basically will allow that tree to be more protected, regulated. There's also tree diameter sizes per park. So Gilbrook, I believe it's like a 6 or 9 inch in the updated ordinance, but the tree committee really went through and looked at each park, what was the appropriate diameter size to list as a shade tree. And the ordinance acts as our shade tree plan, which is called out in the state law that municipalities have to have a shade tree plan. So this is a pretty slick way to do it, because other communities will go through and like GIS every tree, and it's really intensive, where our tree committee was like, this is probably a more realistic way to create a shade tree plan, get it started. So kudos to the tree committee. I'm just presenting this on behalf of all the work that they've done. So ad hoc shade tree committee, Leo, and obviously the Infrastructure Commission. So I will try to answer any questions, but I think Jim Duncan, former counselor, his memo in here does a good job kind of giving an overview.
All right, thank you. Do we have questions from council?
I think the first one that I have is section 29.07, appointment of costs for tree warden services to other municipal corporations. I was just I guess that sort of makes sense, but just if you could explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, so my understanding is that sometimes these tree wardens will get, they'll go help other communities sometimes. So I think this is just a way to capture, like, if we allow, if those services are used in our municipality, like, how do we sort of capture that in here?
Okay. The other question that I had, sorry that this is a little bit more copy edity, is that there's public has been changed to shade throughout the document, except in most of the headers. So I was just wondering if that is an oversight that needs to be corrected, or if there was kind of a reason for keeping.
That's a good point. I think it would change to shade tree because
Okay.
everything else is going, like the definition of a public tree is now struck out. So
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, because it's like section 29.3 is public tree planting, and then below it is public tree maintenance, and then public tree removal. So yeah, I guess it's just updating a couple small language things that might have been missed.
yeah, great point. I will say too, we have not run this through our city attorney as a check yet, but
Okay.
just common practice. I don't suspect they're going to have a lot of feedback on this, but if you do decide to move forward, we'll give it to our attorney to look at before any sort of public hearing and let you know if there's any changes.
Okay, thank you.
Sting, go ahead. Wait.
Okay, thank you. Section 29.04, public tree maintenance and protection. And I guess the second part of that, the ANSI, I don't know if that's right, or if it's ANSI A300 standards. When I Googled it, it seemed like there was a paywall, but I wasn't able to fully understand it. There's been a lot of talk lately about watering of trees. I didn't know if that's addressed in those standards.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I would suspect it is. Usually it's like there is some kind of formula for like whatever the root size is and how much you water it. Yeah, I can check with some of our arborist friends and see if we can at least get a copy of that ANSI standard if there's paywall on it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I think now I'm having trouble finding it. I swore I did see something about watering the trees specifically.
I
in
thought
here,
so too.
It says
So-
adequately.
Adequately, okay.
Oh, yeah, in the first
Efficiently
growing
watered in the
season.
first growing season.
So yeah, the additional details would be nice too.
And John, just for cleaning up the document to just make sure the formatting is all unified and make it makes so that's legible. There's some different fonts and spacing and stuff like that. So just ensuring for when it comes back to council that those details are just cleaned up for legibility. And then for folks reviewing this that aren't as familiar, can you just go into a little bit more detail as to there are different colors with the strikeouts, and can you just elaborate on who the contributors were for the different
Yeah,
strikeouts?
I believe so. Probably Jim Duncan did the majority of the strikeouts on this. I'm not actually certain who was the main author. I know it was pretty collaborative, and they did spend quite a few meetings, which pretty amazing. Like a bunch of like community members just get together and like go through an ordinance and mark it up, which is great. But yeah, I know Jim did spend a lot of time with this. I couldn't say who the other folks were that did mark this up though.
Yeah, former mayor Jim Duncan.
Yeah.
Deputy mayor. Sorry, I just upgraded him.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for folks that are not familiar, he works for the Department of Forest Parks and Rec, and has been a long-term participant on the tree committee as well.
Yeah, I think he even probably he started it for the most part, and then he has there's some there's a lot of expertise in the city that has tree related expertise that he pulled in that he knows through his professional channels.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot of really good tree brains that are working on this ordinance. Yeah.
And then these updates are related to the 2020 state legislation updates, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And this will ensure we keep our Tree City USA status.
Yeah, surprisingly, the Tree City USA status does not require this. They just require an ordinance. I think it's because Arbor Day is more of a national organization, so they don't get into the
I
details.
see.
I'm sure it helps, though. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put us on the gold star list then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am really happy to see this move forward. I know the Infrastructure Commission has been eager to see this move forward, and I hope that Leo and Jim are able to attend the next meeting that it comes with a public hearing and possibly a vote to approve and move it forward. So just extend my appreciation and thanks for everyone contributing thus far.
I'm going to raise one concern. In section 29.05 on removal, number 5 says within 10 business days after receipt of an appeal, the legislative body shall hold a public hearing with the tree warden to receive comment on proposed cutting or removal of the tree. I'm wondering how prescriptive statute is on this. So one, I will just say, as someone who's exiting this table, this is not something I feel like should be rising to the level of city council. But if that's required, that's required. And 2, I wonder if there's flexibility on the timing to like the next regular meeting rather than having to call special meetings for these events.
Yeah.
So that might be worth looking into before the second review.
Yeah, and I will say that is probably like I believe this is pretty prescriptive in statute. I will confirm that. It is a concern on the public works side that's trying to complete street projects where we have to remove streets or even development projects that impact street trees. So there is some concern there that, you know, it could definitely lead to additional hurdles and, you know, time spent for the council. So yes, we will look at that and see confirm what the statute says, ensure that. But yeah, definitely hear you on that one.
Then if there's flexibility, you all can decide if you want to adjust that. Are there any questions from members of the public on this tree ordinance draft? Were there any other comments or questions from council? Could I have a motion to introduce the amendments to the Chapter 29 tree ordinance and set a public hearing for October 6th? So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bryn, second by Thomas. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have, there is, where are we? We are on E, the comprehensive plan public engagement process.
Okay. Let's see. As enclosed in the meeting materials, there's the draft comp plan public engagement approach and a cover sheet just to summarize what's in that public engagement approach. As you can see, there's been a lot of work done by the city in the last 5, 6, 7 years, and you've done a lot of work engaging with the community and working with the community on improving the entire city going forward. So kind of a follow-up to the March meeting where I presented to you the scope of work and thought, I understand there's been a lot of work done already, so there needs to be a more targeted approach. And I think I just wanted to show you the work that you've done to prove that a targeted approach is warranted. Going through with the plan, I've outlined 4 steps with public engagement in this targeted fashion. I've already started on phase 1 of reaching out to department heads, boards, commissions on their thoughts on the current objectives, status report pretty much, which goals and objectives have been accomplished, which ones are obsolete, what goals and objectives need to be added to the list for consideration, and do the vision statements need to be changed in any way, shape, or form. After getting initial feedback from them, I'll work with the Planning Commission and then with you on creating a draft list of the vision, goals, and objectives before presenting it to the public to workshop with them on items that they agree with, they would like to see more details on, or aspects that might be missing from that list. To get a more comprehensive look for that, I'm looking at doing open houses on our subject area sections of our comprehensive plan currently, along with doing focus groups too with parts of the community that might not engage with a process that require a bit more of I would say, a targeted approach for reaching certain parts of our community. After that, we'll come together, work with the Planning Commission on drafting the goals and objectives and the rest of the plan together. All of those meetings, I'll work with Paul on putting out advertising more than our typical Planning Commission meetings to show that these meetings are open to the public and open for comment on working parts of the comp plan draft. And then after that, it'll be turned over to you to review and consider. This entire plan is a working draft. I think Elaine's already given me some comments late last week on like, oh, we missed this, oh, we missed that. And I'm sure I probably missed something too in the process too. So I'm hoping to get some feedback from you on any aspects that I might have missed, any things that I should focus on, and any suggestions that you might have going forward.
Thank you.
I really appreciate not just doing the open houses, but also the focus groups as well. I think we consistently in our outreach as well recognize the difficulty of trying to include all voices. So I don't know if you have any thoughts right now of how you're going to approach those focus groups and who you're trying to target, or if you're still in that process and maybe we can do an update later before it starts.
I've had some early conversations with Paul about this on how to approach it. The next step would be to talk to the multilingual liaisons at the school, work with our existing community contacts lists that we already have cultivated, and then organizing focus groups that way into sometime in the early part of next year, winter, spring.
And you had some initial ideas about the groups, right? That would need more focus.
Yes. Yeah.
For the
So
focus groups.
turning to the draft plan, the initial idea was to reach out to Winooski youth. The schools have already reached out to me saying, oh, maybe we should try to include the youth on this project too. So I'll be connecting with those contacts on including their voices into this project. Multilingual community members, so that's part of connecting with our community contacts, connecting with the multilingual liaisons on that. BIPOC business owners, so had some initial ideas on reaching out to some of the contacts that we might have established already through the Main Street project, as well as the Vermont Professionals of Color Network on organizing those. And then some initial ideas with, I think, reaching out to maybe parts of the community with disabilities, something that I hadn't written down in the plan, but something that after some conversations with Elaine made me consider that I should probably include, and probably start with talking to Deke probably as a point, and then and with Paul too, and going forward from there.
Awesome. That sounds like a really comprehensive group.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Thinking about the disability, that was going to be my one main question was, what about this group? So
Did you have something else you were gonna ask or say?
Nope.
Okay. We also have our own engagement sheet that may have some groups that are worth reaching out to as well that I'm sure council would be happy to collaborate on, depending on timing. One thing that comes to mind for the Gantt chart that you have the focus groups happening January through March, which overlaps with budget season. And I'm just, and as well as, 3 seats up for election on council in March. So just wondering if there's any ability to shift that window for the focus groups earlier or later.
Yeah, based on this, I think we can shift it to later. I do want to make sure that we do most of our engagement before much of the drafting is done. But I think that extending that part another month or 2 should be fine. Yeah, into the spring, that should be doable. Yeah.
Okay, just thinking about the amount of information that council and staff are pushing out related to the budget, as well as announcements related to open seats on council and the mayor's seat that will be up for election as well. So just want to be mindful of all the messaging that will be going out kind of about the same time.
I think that's smart. And the bulk of like budget election stuff would be happening in February, because town meeting days are early in March. So, shifting off into April maybe isn't too far, but does give a little more room.
Yeah, I actually also had that one flagged. The one thing that I do wonder is if maybe we can at least include like a slide or something, just like letting folks know about this process, like make sure that,
In the budget presentation? Yeah.
like as we're doing those, that maybe we can do a little bit
a
of
note, Tim.
double duty.
Ravi, you said something about collaborating with Paul on advertising planning commission meetings where this work will be happening. I think I love hearing that and would just like reinforce that, and however it's communicated. Those meetings are sometimes so technical, and it might be worth like calling out that this work isn't that. So anyone who is familiar with a planning commission meeting won't be like turned off by that.
That sounds good. Yeah, especially considering the last planning commission meeting that we
That's-
sat through.
Yeah. Very technical.
Yes.
Any other questions or ideas to share from council?
No, this feels really solid, and I appreciate capturing all of the pieces that we have already done, so we're not just asking the same people the same questions over and over again.
Yeah, this is also a great document to show historically if somebody is looking for like how have we engaged our community so far and where are we getting this information. So kudos for putting that together. So it's not just something that lives in our heads. Are there any questions from members of the public or ideas about community engagement on our comprehensive plan? Would you like us to do a vote of approval for this, knowing that it's still sort of in flux?
I don't
Do you
think
guys feel like it's
that's
necessary?
necessary.
Okay. Okay, well, we like what you've brought here. You've gotten a little input. Sure, everyone's looking forward to seeing the next iteration and when this work really kicks off. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item F for discussion approval, the fiscal year 2027 budget planning schedule.
Oh, good.
Angela?
Angela's enjoying her conference. All right. I was afraid she was going to join and try to do this. Okay. So staff recommend the fiscal year 2027 budget process follow the process used by City Council in the past several years. Staff are already working on their proposed budgets to share with ourselves, and then of course to result in the city manager's proposed budget. The next regular meeting of council, October 6th, we would ask council, according to this usual model, we would be asking council to set the goals for the fiscal year 2027 budget with some guidance questions provided by the city manager. ahead of that meeting. Then from December 1 through January 12th, staff would present the city manager's budget proposal. The first presentation, which is the first meeting of December, would be an overview, and then the other presentations would get into more detail from each of the departments. The January 20th council meeting would be the opportunity for you to discuss the budget as a whole. We'd suggest you not make any decisions before then, but of course ask plenty of questions in the meantime. And then note that the memo in the agenda center shows the steps that staff take to support this council process. Any questions, comments?
Just noting that we skip over November, but we have one regularly scheduled council meeting, and we have a special meeting with the school board. So I anticipate that we'll hear more about their budget planning schedule during that meeting as well.
Which there?
The school board
Oh,
during the November special meeting.
So the superintendent, mayor, and city manager and board president still need to have their meeting to align on the content for that. However, that is a suggested item. What are you is there anything you can share that you're anticipating about the upcoming budget process?
I'm just recalling our
Another
meeting
side.
from last fall.
Yeah.
That we covered that.
Yeah.
yeah, and not that you were asking this, but for general awareness. So the reason why there's no explicit budget topics in November is because staff is working on the proposals that month. So as guided by that first October meeting.
Any other questions, or is this looking good?
Just let me look at one second. Okay, so the community event hasn't been scheduled yet. There's no particular date called out for that.
Correct, yeah, and kudos to Paul for asking this question very early. Last year, we tried something which, as he likes to put it, was maybe not worth the squeeze. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze. We had, I think, by the time council was doing the presentation, you had one member of the public still left. So we've been trying to think about other ways to do this and looking at what other communities around us have done successfully and what we've done successfully in different formats. We thought we'd try an open house format this coming year. I just discussed that with the school superintendent today. Obviously, it's actually a school board function to present the budget, just like it's council's function to present the city's budget. But he thought it was generally a good thought. So we'll see how that goes. But that's the current thinking, and we don't have a date yet.
Okay, great.
Any public comment on this item? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2027 budget planning? Motion by Charlie, second by Thomas. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And send our thanks to Angela.
Well, she drafted that.
Okay. So we have warned an executive session to discuss updates to the evaluation process and tool that we use, council uses with the city manager. Okay. I'm seeking a motion to find that, I don't think I have the right language for this. Isn't there a state statute language specific to personnel?
Yes, I'm sorry. I mean, you can do the first part, and it's just relating to contracts and personnel.
Yeah, okay. So I'm looking for a motion to find that we should have this discussion in executive session as it relates to contracts and personnel.
So moved.
Motion by Bryn, second by Charlie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm seeking a second motion to move that we enter into executive session to discuss this topic under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1A of the Vermont statutes, inviting City Manager Elaine Wong.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thomas, second by Bryn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So we're going to move into executive session for this item.
Should we just Doesn't make sense for us to move.
Well,
It depends on if anyone's gonna stay. If nobody stays, then we can stay here.
so we're gonna discuss this topic. It'll probably take a little bit. We won't take any action until we come back out. That will happen in this open session, and then we'll have our final item. We don't discuss any other topics during executive session. I think you're hanging out until the end of the meeting? Yeah. Okay. We should move into the back then. Okay, so we're going to enter into executive session and we will be back in. So we are back into regular items for discussion approval. Can I have a motion to leave the executive session?
So moved.
Motion by Aurora, second by Charlie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, now we're back on regular items. All right, so we were just discussing the city manager evaluation questions and process. The memo was here in the agenda. To summarize the conversation, timing, we have decided to leave it in the January, February timeline that we've been using. For the evaluation tool, we have documented some language edits that will be made on that. We have also noted that this process will be codified and documented for ongoing use. And regarding the third-party facilitation formal 360, after next year's strategies and priority session, council is going to revisit what options to explore on that front. Are there any questions from members of the public on this item? Okay. With that then, do I have a motion to approve the city manager evaluation questions and process as discussed?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thomas, second by Charlie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. So we are on to our last agenda item here. I have included a memo here. I've been sitting at this table for 7 years and wanted to share some things that I've observed in my time that I think have helped us be effective at local governance. Hope this is useful to you all and to future folks who are sitting here. The first page of the memo is about ways of operating, and I really want to just highlight a couple things like verbally for the record, for the public, that the most important thing that I have seen is like consistent communication. That's between the folks who sit here, with staff, and with our community. That's how we, move forward together and work together towards our community's vision, and make sure that the work we do does reflect our community's vision. So I think that's like the most important thing I've observed. I think additionally, recognizing that policy is a moving target and that we never have all the information we want, we never have access to all the data we want, and we're never able to work on every issue that we know could be improved in the city, but we do what we can to make sure that we are getting closer to where we want to be, and that's okay. And you have to be okay with those hard decisions. I also feel like our ability to focus on what is within our control and some of the mechanisms we have to advocate for things that are not within our control help us, one, be more effective with our time, but two, keep clear on what we're doing and keep it clear to our community members. That we lean on partners to bring more services and resources into our community because we are limited, and that we make sure that we focus on policies we can implement so we don't erode public trust by, overcommitting. I then listed out some structures that I think have been really helpful. You may or may not retain all of these, but I tried to note where I think they have been helpful in supporting sort of that effective governance. So I don't need to drone on. If there are any questions about anything in here, I'm happy to answer. I think most, for the four of you, you know what is in here. You're very familiar. And I also just wanted to say I am mere blocks away, a phone call, a text, an email. If you, ever are like, why did we do that? What used to happen? Like, I'm still here for historic context. And just really excited that we have so many really great staff and volunteers, our elected and appointed officials, to carry forward the wonderful work of Winooski's community vision. We are a great town, better than most of our neighbors, all of our neighbors, all of them.
You're on record.
Yeah. And I'm just really grateful to have been a part of that work here. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
I wonder if this, I don't think it's on here for anything besides you informing us about it, but I do wonder if this is something that could be included as a memo during councilor orientation. Maybe not as a document of fact, it's your opinions and thoughts on the roles, but I think I at least agree with I think a lot of what's in here, and I think it'd be good for future members to give it a read.
What's funny is you get to decide what goes in the next one.
That's true, but just let's just
therefore.
state it loudly.
Yeah, I would love to pass on anything I can to successor mayors. I know information I received from my predecessors has always been super helpful. So, all right, that's the end.
Well, thank you for taking the time to put this together.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
For what it's worth, I also agree with them, so I'm glad Thomas asked for that to be in council orientation, because I think that would be a good idea.
Well, I'm honored. With that, we are at the end of tonight's agenda. So do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Thomas, second by Bryn. All those in favor, please say aye. The motion carries and this meeting is adjourned. Final line. Thank you.
End of an era.